Thanks to exclusive reporting by Ted Johnson and Variety, we learned today the Justice Department has warned the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences that its potential rule changes limiting the eligibility of Netflix and other streaming services for the Oscars could raise antitrust concerns and violate competition law. Variety reports that 2 weeks ago, the Justice Department sent a threatening letter to Dawn Hudson, the CEO of the Academy, saying, "Dear Ms. Hudson, the Antitrust Division of the U.S. Department of Justice has learned through news reporting that the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences may consider proposed rules changes limiting eligibility for the Academy Awards." It was signed by the head of the Justice Department's Antitrust Division, Makan Delrahim. The Justice Department is so ashamed of this letter that it has not released it publicly. Variety had to obtain a copy of it and has not been able to release a full copy of it. Makan Delrahim has disgraced himself before. He is the Trump appointee who brought the antitrust case against AT&T's acquisition of Time Warner because the president wanted him to. Unlike previous presidents, Donald Trump decided to publicly announce his opposition to that merger, saying, quote, "It was not good for the country," presumably because CNN was part of Time Warner. And according to the president, an enemy of the people, the president also said he was, quote, "not going to get involved." But Jane Mayer reports in The New Yorker, Trump ordered Gary Cohn, then the director of the National Economic Council, to pressure the Justice Department to intervene. According to a well-informed source, Trump called Cohn into the Oval Office along with John Kelly, who had just become the chief of staff, and said in exasperation to Kelly, "I've been telling Cohn to get this lawsuit filed and nothing's happened. I've mentioned it 50 times and nothing's happened. I want to make sure it's filed. I want that deal blocked." According to the source, as Cohn walked out of the meeting, he told Kelly, "Don't effing dare call the Justice Department. We are not going to do business that way." But Gary Cohn, who has left the Trump White House, couldn't stop the Trump Justice Department from trying to block the merger the way Donald Trump wanted them to. But the trial judge in the case ruled against the Trump attempt to block the merger. And now the head of the Antitrust Division in the Trump Justice Department has so much of nothing to do that he's sitting around the office reading show business publications about possible minor changes to the Academy Award rules. There are several rules that govern eligibility for an Academy Award, but there's only one sentence of those rules that interests the Trump Justice Department. It says that motion pictures that are released online by services such as Netflix are eligible for Oscars as long as they are released on or after the first day that they are exhibited in a good old-fashioned movie theater in Los Angeles. The Academy is considering changing that rule to require that the motion picture run exclusively in a movie theater before it is released online. You don't have to go to law school to know that there is absolutely no antitrust issue involved in that Oscar rule or any other Oscar rule, all of which limit what movies are eligible for Oscars. For example, there's an Oscar rule that says the minimum for a non-mono configuration of the audio shall be 3 channels as left, center, right. A left-right configuration is not acceptable in a theatrical environment. Does that restrict anyone's economic rights? Yes, it does. Those people who don't have the right audio, cannot get their movies made eligible for an Oscar, which is no concern to the government of the United States or the Justice Department. But Donald Trump has poisoned the Justice Department. He has appointed a head of the Antitrust Division who will shame himself repeatedly by putting his name on anything that Donald Trump wants him to put his name on, including signing a threatening letter about the rules for the Oscars. We already knew that the head of the Antitrust Division is a Trump cultist who supported Donald Trump's election in 2016 and wrote an op-ed piece urging anti-Trump Republicans to forget their principles and be practical like him. Makan Delrahim said in the op-ed piece, Republicans should vote for Donald Trump because a presidential election is all about Supreme Court justices, and Makan Delrahim is no doubt now waiting for his appointment to the Supreme Court of the United States after faithful service to Donald Trump. There is no surprise that he put his name on that letter filled with legal absurdities, but Attorney General William Barr had to approve the sending of that letter 2 weeks ago, and William Barr approved it. And that right there is big news. 1 month into his service to Donald Trump, Attorney General William Barr said, yeah, sure, send a threatening letter from the Justice Department to the Oscars about their rules of eligibility. Nothing else is ever going to come of this. There will be absolutely no follow-up to that phony letter. The Academy can change their rules any way they want, and they will never hear from the Justice Department legally again. The head of the Antitrust Division knows that, and he knows that his letter is an empty and ridiculous threat. Attorney General William Barr knows that. Is this a case of William Barr giving Donald Trump a crazy little thing that Donald Trump wants, while William Barr resists Donald Trump's much worse demands? Or does this Justice Department letter threatening the Oscars show us that there is absolutely nothing William Barr won't do for Donald Trump? There is no order too small or too petty, no order from Donald Trump that William Barr thinks is beneath him. Is that what this means? Donald Trump has always said he wanted Roy Cohn as his attorney general. And he couldn't have Roy Cohn because Roy Cohn died in 1986. And before he died, Roy Cohn was convicted of crimes, but he was Donald Trump's first lawyer. And Donald Trump loved him because Roy Cohn would do anything for Donald Trump. Anything. Does Donald Trump finally have his Roy Cohn again as his attorney general? Is that what this Justice Department letter threatening the Oscars tells us about the Attorney General of the United States? We don't know yet. But it doesn't tell us anything good or anything decent or anything honorable or anything professional about the Attorney General of the United States. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.